why this family-owned business is calling it quits after serving the community for 100 years.
This is my father here, Dino Tonelli. He started working here in 1949 after he graduated from pharmacy school at UCSF.
Plus, a new co-working space in San Francisco's Japantown is much more than just a place to work, how it's unlocking the doors to creativity and culture.
If I can provide a nurturing space for folks to come back to, find a little bit of cultural identity, reconnect with community and families, that is my wish for this co-working space.
And these new images of our universe are coming from the world's largest digital camera. We're going to take a tour with the Stanford scientists who built it. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to have those stories and lots more coming up right after our news headlines. President Trump says the ceasefire between Israel and Iran is in effect after both sides violated it. Israel launched attacks on Iran overnight after Iran fired missiles at a residential building. President Trump did not hold back his frustration.
I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Later, President Trump held a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and after that conversation, the president posted on social media, Israel is not going to attack Iran. So the question now is, where do things stand and will this fragile deal hold? According to CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang, that all depends.
It really depends on what unfolds, especially in the next 24 hours or so, to see how these two sides actually act and what they are saying about this agreement and whether or not they will abide by it. But certainly, as far as the White House goes, the president seems to think that things are good again as he heads to this massive summit in The Hague.
Well, President Trump says he is not pushing for regime change in Iran, despite alluding to the idea over the weekend on social media. We have just learned the identities of the 8 people who were killed in a boating accident in Lake Tahoe over the weekend, and some of them were from the Bay Area. The El Dorado County Sheriff's Office says the victims are Paula Bozinovich and Terry Pickles from Redwood City, Joshua Anthony Pickles from San Francisco, Peter Bays from Lincoln, Timothy O'Leary from Auburn, Teresa Gulari, James Guck, and Stephen Lindsay, all from New York. Many of the victims were in their 60s or 70s. 2 survivors still in the hospital today. Their boat capsized Saturday after a sudden storm moved in over the lake. Voters heading to the poll in a special runoff election in San Jose. District 3 voters will choose between Gabby Chavez Lopez and Anthony Tordillos. The victor will take the city council seat left open after former council member Omar Torres resigned after pleading guilty to child sex crimes. Those polls close at 8 o'clock tonight. And today, San Mateo County supervisors are voting on whether to remove embattled Sheriff Christina Corpus. That vote comes after an independent investigation uncovered several allegations against Sheriff Corpus, including racial slurs and abuse of power. She's denied the allegations. The board needs an 80% majority to remove her. If removed, she can appeal. This move follows a recent voter-approved rule giving the board authority to remove the sheriff for cause. All right, let's get a check on our first alert forecast. Little gloomy around a lot of parts of the Bay Area today. Meteorologist Zoe Mintz is tracking the wind and a bit of a warm-up ahead.
We've got a chill on the way today. You've definitely noticed that thicker fog and cloud coverage streaming in, and it's going to stay tight to our coastal communities this afternoon. Again, keeping those temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees below normal for this time of year, and about 5 to 10 degrees below what we were feeling yesterday as well. We're going to be staying in the mid to lower 60s to upper 50s along the coast, and look at our inland areas. When's the last time that we saw highs only in the mid 70s? Honestly, it's probably going to feel a lot nicer out there this afternoon. For any plans inland, you should be seeing expecting sunnier skies, a bit more of those breezes sticking around, but still, let's enjoy the comfortable heat while we can. It's better than the upper 80s to low 90s, so you can actually spend some time outdoors without getting too hot. The bigger issue again is going to be the winds, gusting anywhere from 20 to 30, maybe 35 miles an hour here in San Francisco. It is going to be a little bit of an issue, but it is definitely not going to be the windiest that we have seen for this time of year. Just something to keep our eyes on. We'll continue to see again a thicker layer of fog streaming through the Golden Gate and along the coast this afternoon. Everyone will see with that thicker fog overnight tonight and waking up early tomorrow morning, with once again a little bit of that mist waking up early tomorrow morning as well. By tomorrow afternoon, we'll be seeing a little bit more sunshine, a little bit less of that haze along the coast, and a little bit more of those sunnier skies even for areas around the bay. That will allow our temperatures to warm up a degree or two Wednesday, a degree or two warmer into Thursday, and then by Friday and into Saturday, that's when the real warm up will arrive. Mid-70s returning to those places around the bay, and even our inland communities expected to get back to the upper 80s to low 90s by, again, Friday and Saturday of this upcoming week. Keep that in mind. A warm up is on the way, and enjoy the cooler, cloudier, and slightly windier conditions today.
It is the end of an era for a longtime pharmacy in San Francisco. It is closing after serving people in the Excelsior for more than a century. Dozens of drugstores across the city have been shutting down lately. But as Suji Nam explains, this closure has nothing to do with crime nor competition.
50 with Dr. Bacigalupi, who was...
Tucked away in this quaint pharmacy room, you'll find Jerry Tonelli, the pharmacist owner of Central Drugstore in the Excelsior district. You can feel the history within these walls, generations of San Franciscans coming in to pick up their prescriptions since 1908.
This is my father here, Dino Tonelli. He started working here in 1949 after he graduated from pharmacy school at UCSF. And he was a World War II veteran.
Tonelli's parents met right here. His mother was also working at the drugstore before they soon took over.
This was her favorite part of the store because she used to do all the buying for our cosmetics.
Tonelli then took the helm of the family business when his father passed away.
We get a lot of people from other countries that don't have health insurance and don't want to see a doctor, and they'll come in and, you know, I have this or I have that, and try to treat them.
He says it's been a great run, meeting new friends along the way. But now, Tonelli will be hanging up his white coat, something that is bittersweet.
You come in, you know these people, you know their children.
While Tonelli has made the choice to retire and close, he is concerned about independent pharmacies that are essentially being forced out by corporations coming in.
The city started letting Walgreens come into the city. And what happened then was they usually opened up next to an independent, and eventually the independent had to close.
Fran Colombo, who has been going to Tonelli for the past 50 years, has been hit hard by the news. She remembers Tonelli helping her late husband when he was picking up medication.
He came out, Jerry had his arm and was walking him to our car, and I will never forget that.
Colombo adds that for older patients in the community without resources, it's going to be harder to access the care.
I'm kind of computer savvy, but what about the people who aren't, who are just used to the walking in or calling in a prescription and walking down, picking it up?
In the meantime, Tonelli plans to continue providing the best care while he is open, but is also looking forward to spending time with his family.
Try to do some volunteer work somewhere and just try to help some people out, either at a hospital or a shelter.
Until he writes his last prescription, Tonelli will be right here, opening his doors with a smile like he's been doing.
Come on in, we're open today.
All this time.
Well, the Central Drugstore's last day is July 15th. That is 3 weeks from today. A few months ago, Supervisor Jackie Fielder told us that 63 pharmacies have closed in San Francisco between 2015 and March of this year. That's everything from mom and pop shops to big companies like Walgreens and CVS. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, CalFire showing off its new aerial arsenal as we head into the thick of wildfire season. How they say they could be a game changer.
We can put a lot of fire out with one drop. We can get a lot of water on the fire very quickly.
Plus, it has faced years of delay, and the price tag has ballooned by billions. A look at the progress being made on the South Bay BART extension. And we're going to take you to a new creative hub in San Francisco's Japantown. How the mission to become the workspace of the future hopes to connect people to their past.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
We're definitely feeling those cooler conditions all across the bay today. A lot more cloud coverage, that thicker fog. It's going to take a while, if at all, to peel back. Our Bay Area communities, again, are going to be a lot foggier today, a lot cooler as well, about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. By tomorrow, though, although we will be waking up with that thicker layer of fog, drier air will be working its way in by Wednesday afternoon and into Thursday. That's going to allow those temperatures to warm up inland, getting back to the upper 80s to low 90s by the end of the week and into the weekend.
Well, that brush fire that burned dangerously close to some homes in Contra Costa County yesterday is now fully contained. Here's a look from our chopper. That fire broke out just after noon in Rodeo, just north of Highway 4 and east of Sterling Drive. Firefighters battled the flames from the ground, and CalFire used air tankers and helicopters to fight it from the sky. One of the helicopters that responded had flown in from Napa County, where CalFire was showing off some of its new additions to its aerial arsenal. Kenny Choi got an up-close look at the aircraft and how they are making a difference on the ground.
CalFire says its Hawk is an all-around better firefighting tool than the helicopters they used to have.
This is Nico Mattioli's office on any given day. The CalFire Hawk is part of its initial aerial response to wildfires.
We can put a lot of fire out with one drop, and so if we have a quicker turnaround based on where our dip site is, we can get a lot of water on the fire very quickly. And with back pumps, chainsaws, and hand tools, we're just fighting the fire directly.
Fire Agency has 14 Sikorsky S-70I choppers, replacing an aging fleet of Super Huey helicopters. 2 more will be added this summer.
This gives us a lot more capabilities. You're basically stepping up in the type of aircraft, allowing more weight, more water.
Mattioli and his crew are stationed in Lake County. This Boeing CH-47D Chinook is based in Napa, while the Sikorsky UH-60A Plus Blackhawk is based in Sonoma.
These units will slow the fire spread so our ground resources can get in and put a control line in to stop forward progress.
Napa County officials say since 2021, when these Type 1 helicopters became part of its local response strategy, the county has seen on average 2 wildfires per year exceeding 10 acres in size. In the decade before that, Board of Supervisor Ann Cottrell says the county saw on average 5 wildfires per year, 10 acres or more.
That's a remarkable reduction in wildfire impact and a testament to CalFire's rapid response strategy.
Soon after CalFire's presentation showcasing its latest aerial assets, a vegetation fire in Rodeo ignited. It could be seen from the airport tarmac. Mattioli's Hawk got deployed immediately to attack it.
They will be there to put the 1,000 gallons of water on that fire and support the ground crews.
It's not just the vessel that matters, though, to Mattioli.
Being around highly motivated individuals that push you and push each other every day, it's just a really fun atmosphere to be around.
It's that tight bond, along with upgraded arsenal, that make CalFire ready to attack nature's ferocious fires.
Thousands of Chinook salmon have been released into the San Francisco Bay thanks to a tube nicknamed the Salmon Cannon. Here's some video from the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They say all of the fish were raised at local hatcheries. The release is meant to help balance the wild fish population. They're going to return to the river to spawn alongside wild salmon. It comes after salmon season returned briefly after a 2-year closure. Well, for years now, we have been tracking delays and ballooning costs with the Silicon Valley BART expansion. And now we're getting a look at some of the progress being made. A 5-mile extension stretches from the Berryessa station to Santa Clara with 4 new stations, nearly all of it underground. Our Lauren Tom shows us how construction is moving forward despite another setback.
Beneath piles of earth, this construction site marks a milestone for the next generation of transportation in the South Bay. Campbell Mayor and VTA Chair Sergio Lopez, a South Bay native, says despite delays and cost overruns, the project is essential for the region's future.
As a transit rider, a lifelong Bay Area resident, and someone who's hoping to raise a family in this region, I understand the importance of being connected, and I think particularly younger generations, that next generation of the workforce, is going to depend on that interconnectability.
On site, construction director Sarah Wilson offered a glimpse of what's ahead. Heavy machinery already digging into the earth to make way for a massive undertaking, a 5-mile single-bore tunnel for BART to run beneath the heart of Silicon Valley.
This site where you are right now is the West Portal. It's going to serve as the launching point for the large tunnel boring machine. And that's what takes some time, right? We're going to be out here for a couple of years, and it's because we have to build all of the panels all the way around the launch structure shaft.
But just as digging begins, the project's current contractor, the firm Kiewit Shea & Trailer, is being phased out. VTA says they couldn't agree on a final budget with the contractor. Lopez says the cost estimate from the contractor was 70 to 100% higher than the agency's budget, which stands at nearly $13 billion. Still, he says the project is on track.
I'm always going to hold us to a higher standard of transparency and accountability. And that's always going to be a moving target. There's always going to be more that we can do. Absolutely. But I really do feel that we've turned a corner in how we're looking at every single aspect of this project to keep it moving.
At the construction site on Newhall Drive, Tom McGuire of VTA says they're back to the drawing board to select a new contractor to carry out the next phase. And even with the shakeup, he says the timeline is holding for now.
Definitely still aiming for 2037 opening date. However, the starting tunnel, we will be starting tunneling later by going to a different contractor. Our challenge right now is to find a way to build the tunnel faster and to build the other aspects of the project, the 4 stations, the yard, all the structures above ground in a way that that compresses the schedule.
And for Lopez, transparency remains a top priority even amid skepticism. Critics of the project have blasted VTA for choosing to dig a massive single-bore tunnel deep underground instead of digging two side-by-side tunnels to avoid disruption to downtown San Jose businesses. Lopez says the promise of a connected South Bay is worth digging for.
So these are not easy challenges to address, but I really believe that the future of the region depends on delivering on major projects like this one.
Well, the VTA won a $5 billion federal grant last August. It still has a shortfall, though, of about $700 million. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, they are creating a space for creativity and culture in San Francisco's Japantown.
Bringing people not only to work here, but also to involve and immerse themselves in the surrounding businesses.
How it is also bringing people and business back to this historic neighborhood.
This morning, it is a mild start to the day. Those temperatures sitting in the 50s. I have to show you the beautiful sunrise that we saw from on top of Black Mountain, where you could see above the fog. And the fog, again, moving like waves in the atmosphere. It is so cool to see those ripples. But again, it is going to be a cool day out there as well, 5 to 10 degrees below average. But it's only one day that we'll be seeing these well below average temperatures, as those gusts will be anywhere from 25 to 35 miles an hour, getting a little bit calmer by tomorrow As the area of low pressure begins to depart, a little bit of drier air begins to build in. It will still be a foggy start to the day tomorrow morning, but by the afternoon hours and then into Thursday, we'll be looking at significantly drier conditions. And by Friday and into Saturday, those upper 80s to low 90s returning to the forecast across our inland East Bay communities. And along our coastal communities, you will be seeing a lot more of that fog, a lot more of that cloud coverage today and into tomorrow. But by Thursday afternoon, you will begin to see a little bit more sunshine, those sunny skies and warmer temperatures arriving later this week and into this weekend. So a little bit of something for everyone over the next 7 days. Back to you.
San Francisco's Japantown is one of the few remaining Japantowns in the nation. A new co-working space just opened up in that neighborhood, and as Max Darrow shows us, the people who created it hope that it's going to bring new life to the area while also preserving culture, community, and creativity.
Entering the Coho co-working and event space in Japantown, Aaron, a music producer and artist known as Mr. Carmack, abides by tradition before finding a space and getting to work.
I'm working on a triple album.
Like many creators, he's used to working from home. But with the emergence of this new co-working space in Japantown, he's eager to switch up the atmosphere.
Keeping your home space for home things and separating the work.
The same sentiment from Dana Dimolanda, an architectural designer.
Like a creative hub was missing from this area.
When Susie Kagami, the founding executive director, set out to make Coho a reality, she wanted to provide a hub for creators and artists. But the mission runs deeper.
This actually was envisioned by our community over 10 years ago as a community strategy, a preservation strategy for Japantown. An arts and culture hub would revitalize our stories and bring people back, preserve our narratives of our past, our elders, as well as give voice to a younger generation.
San Francisco's Japantown is one of 3 left in the nation. Kagami says it has shrunk in size over the past several decades due to displacement from World War II incarceration and then urban renewal.
If I can provide a nurturing space for folks to come back to, find a little bit of cultural identity, reconnect with community and families, that is my wish for this co-working space.
It's bringing back more of the authentic community and culture.
Aaron thinks it will help bring new and old faces to Japantown. And as a result, they'll help support the neighborhood's vitality.
Bringing people not only to work here, but also to involve and immerse themselves in the surrounding businesses.
A space dedicated to nurturing creativity and culture, building blocks for the future, while paying homage to tradition.
Coming up in our next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area. Despite the fragile ceasefire in the Middle East, the Bay Area is on alert. Experts explain their concerns about cyber warfare.
Not just only in skies or in the battlefield itself, it's also on the servers' rooms and the algorithms and the data centers.
Plus, fake ads rising to the top of Google searches. How fraudsters are getting users to click on their scams.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us this Tuesday. I'm Ann Makovic, and here is another look at some of our news headlines. President Trump says the ceasefire between Israel and Iran is in effect after both sides violated it. Israel launched attacks on Iran overnight after Iran fired missiles at a residential building. Later, President Trump held a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. After that conversation, the president posted on social media, Israel is not going to attack Iran. We have just learned the identities of the 8 people who were killed in a boating accident in Lake Tahoe over the weekend. The El Dorado County Sheriff's Office says they are Paula Bozinovich and Terry Pickles from Redwood City, Joshua Anthony Pickles from San Francisco, Peter Bays from Lincoln, Timothy O'Leary from Auburn, and Teresa Gulari, James Guck, and Stephen Lindsay, all from New York. Many of the victims were in their 60s or 70s. 2 survivors remain in the hospital. Their boat capsized Saturday after a sudden storm. And voters heading to the polls today in a special runoff election in San Jose. Voters are going to choose between Gabby Chavez Lopez and Anthony Tordillos. The victor will take the city council seat left open after former council member Omar Torres resigned after pleading guilty to child sex crimes. Those polls close at 8 tonight. All right, now let's get a check on our first alert forecast. A little gloomy around parts of the Bay Area, but things are changing. Here's meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
We've got a chill on the way today. You've definitely noticed that thicker fog and cloud coverage streaming in, and it's going to stay tight to our coastal communities this afternoon. Again, keeping those temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees below normal for this time of year, and about 5 to 10 degrees below what we were feeling yesterday as well. We're going to be staying in the mid to lower 60s to upper 50s along the coast, and look at our inland areas. When's the last time that we saw highs only in the mid 70s? Honestly, it's probably going to feel a lot nicer out there this afternoon. For any plans inland, you should be seeing sunnier skies, a bit more of those breezes sticking around, but still, let's enjoy the comfortable heat while we can. It's better than the upper 80s to low 90s, so you can actually spend some time outdoors without getting too hot. The bigger issue, again, is going to be the winds, gusting anywhere from 20 to 30, maybe 35 miles an hour here in San Francisco. It is going to be a little bit of an issue, but it is definitely not going to be the windiest that we have seen for this time of year. Just something to keep our eyes on. We'll continue to see, again, a thicker layer of fog streaming through the Golden Gate and along the coast this afternoon. Everyone will see with that thicker fog overnight tonight and waking up early tomorrow morning, with once again a little bit of that mist waking up early tomorrow morning as well. By tomorrow afternoon, we'll be seeing a little bit more sunshine, a little bit less of that haze along the coast, and a little bit more of those sunnier skies, even for areas around the bay. That will allow our temperatures to warm up a degree or two Wednesday, a degree or two warmer into Thursday, and then by Friday and into Saturday, that's when the real warm up will arrive. Mid 70s returning to those places around the bay, and even our inland communities expected to get back to the upper 80s to low 90s by, again, Friday and Saturday of this upcoming week. Keep that in mind. A warm up is on the way, and enjoy the cooler, cloudier, and slightly windier conditions today.
Nearly a dozen Iranian nationals were picked up by ICE over the past few days. That includes at least one arrest here in the Bay Area. As Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga explains, ICE says the group includes someone with admitted ties to Hezbollah, a known or suspected terrorist, and an alleged former sniper for the Iranian army.
CBS News has exclusively learned that since Sunday, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, has arrested 11 Iranian foreign nationals who officials say are not authorized to be in the United States, including one man listed on the U.S. known or suspected terrorist list and an alleged former member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps with admitted connections to Hezbollah. The Department of Homeland Security says Yusuf Meridano had been living in the United States illegally for nearly 8 years since U.S. officials determined he lied on a visa application. On Sunday, just 4 months after the Iranian foreign national was added to the U.S.'s known or suspected terrorist watch list, he was arrested in central Mississippi. He's now in ICE custody pending removal proceedings, and he's not alone. Over the past 48 hours, ICE officials have arrested 11 Iranian nationals spanning 8 states nationwide. Among them, 5 possessed previous criminal convictions, their crimes ranging from grand larceny to drug and firearm possessions. These arrests come as the Department of Homeland Security is alerting the public of a heightened threat environment in the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security activated its National Terrorism Advisory System just hours hours after the United States attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities Sunday. Intelligence officials tell CBS News that one big concern is homegrown extremism. To be clear, officials have not linked these arrests to any specific credible terrorism plots, but all of these Iranians have been charged or accused of criminal violations. According to ICE, that means more than just violating civil immigration law.
The Department of Homeland Security has now confirmed publicly CBS News reporting of those arrests. According to a U.S. government data report, the last fiscal year, 68 Iranian foreign nationals were arrested by ICE for being in the U.S. illegally, including 47 with criminal convictions. Well, even with possible de-escalation, federal officials are warning that American companies need to be on alert for potential Iranian cyber attacks. Our John Ramos spoke with cybersecurity experts about the threat, especially in Silicon Valley.
With Israel, Iran, and now the United States exchanging blows in recent days, even with a ceasefire, the question here seems to be, is it possible the conflict could reach the Bay Area? For all the rockets and missiles flying in the Middle East, here at home, the biggest threat may be coming from an email.
The wars, and including what we are seeing here, is actually not just only in skies or in the battlefield itself. It's also on the servers' rooms and the algorithms and the data centers and the R&D of the companies. And that's going to be more effective than anything else, because this could create a lot of damages to the, to a country.
Professor Ahmed Banafa is a technology expert at San Jose State. He says Iran has engaged in cyber attacks in the past, and usually focuses on the kind of infrastructure that can disrupt everyday life.
Companies like PG&E, for example, so they can paralyze the grid. Number two, they can go after the financial companies like Stripe and PayPal. That's going to create a lot of panic. People are using those systems. They can go after the research that we have seen, R&D in many of those companies, especially in the artificial intelligence now. Silicon Valley is leading the world there.
And it doesn't take sophisticated weaponry to do that. Just having someone open the wrong email or click on the wrong link can allow a skilled hacker to infiltrate a system and potentially bring an operation to a halt. The Department of Homeland Security issued an alert on Sunday saying, quote, low-level cyber attacks against U.S. networks by pro-Iranian hacktivists are likely, and cyber actors affiliated with the Iranian government may conduct attacks against U.S. networks, end quote. Paul Keener, a strategist for a cyber consulting firm called GuidePoint Security in Virginia, says the potential attackers don't even have to be Iranian.
That is one of Iran's typical methods, is they use hacktivist groups. And so the hacktivist groups are, people who are ideologically aligned. And so, it creates the appearance of something bigger and more responsive than it might actually be. And so, is it likely that this will happen? I think so. If they can focus and do that, I would anticipate that.
And even though Silicon Valley may seem like a tempting target for Iranian cyber warfare, Stanford professor Alan Weiner thinks those fears may be overblown. The former State Department attorney specializes in international conflict resolution, and he thinks Iran is more concerned about keeping its own people under control, especially now that Hezbollah has been crippled and Assad's regime in Syria has collapsed.
And so what that means now is that a lot of the allies that Iran had that would have been in a position to put pressure on Israel have been dramatically weakened, leaving Iran itself very exposed.
Even before the announced ceasefire, Iran's retaliation has been largely for show. And though they could still threaten cyber attacks as a way of looking tough, Weiner believes they may be looking for a way out of the conflict.
I think the Iranians have been signaling that they want to de-escalate, realizing that they're completely outmatched militarily by the Israelis. And the minute you add the United States to the mix, I think they recognize that a shooting war will go very badly for them.
If that's true, the last thing they would want to do is unleash cyber attacks that would invite an even wider fight. So Silicon Valley can probably relax a little bit, although it still pays to be careful opening those emails.
Well, the Stanford professor says Iran's rulers are generally unpopular with the Iranian people. So much of the regime's actions are designed to show strength as a way of keeping their own people in line. Well, you might remember when a door plug flew off an Alaska Airlines plane last year. That happened back in January, minutes after the Boeing 737 MAX plane took off from Portland, Oregon. The National Transportation Safety Board met today to talk about what led to that incident last year. During that meeting, the NTSB chairman, Jennifer Homedy, said that the accident was not caused by human error, but multiple system failures. According to the NTSB, the bolts that were needed for the door were removed during a routine repair and never replaced. The board now plans to approve some new recommendations to prevent anything like that from happening in the future. Well, it is the most popular search engine and one of the most profitable companies in the world. So why does Google sell advertisements to people purporting to be companies that they are not? Tim McNichols has an answer.
When I'm not reporting the news, I'm a frequent Amtrak rider. Recently, I Googled Amtrak customer service, and the first 3 results showed websites or phone numbers that don't belong to Amtrak, even though the links stated Amtrak or Amtrak phone number.
I think that that's pretty terrible.
Laura Black says she called the number listed on another site, the reservationsdesk.com, and paid them $356 to upgrade her Amtrak trip from New Orleans to Charlottesville back in March.
It was a fraudulent ticket. I was actually really shocked the fact that you can Google something and at the top hit, it's a scammer. Like, how does that happen?
Amtrak and Google both describe the listings as, quote, scams. So how do they rise to the top of the search results? Turns out they are sponsored listings or ads, and the tech giant says they've suspended the accounts. Google would not agree to an interview for this story, but said in an email it removed 146 million ads last year for misrepresentation, with some blocked before they could be posted. The company admits that even though ads go through automated or human reviews, alleged fraudsters adapt and sometimes find ways to show Google different content than they later show users. We dialed the number Laura Black called, and whoever answered said they don't sell train tickets and know nothing about the reservationsdesk.com. We discovered shortly after we reached out that the website had been taken down.
Now I have to fight with my credit card. It's going to be 2 months till I see that money back. If I see it back, there's no guarantees, and it's unfortunate.
Amtrak says customers should stick to booking tickets directly through Amtrak.com or with the app.
Everybody's after our money, but you can consider using an ad blocker to filter out so-called sponsored results. And if you do come across a fake ad, alert Google through the Report an Ad form. Coming up next, the Shovels digging up a painful reality for A's fans in Oakland. How the team's move to Vegas is taking a symbolic step forward.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
We're definitely feeling those cooler conditions all across the bay today. A lot more cloud coverage, that thicker fog. It's going to take a while, if at all, to peel back. Our Bay Area communities, again, are going to be a lot foggier today, a lot cooler as well, about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. By tomorrow, though, although we will be waking up with that thicker layer of fog, drier air will be working its way in by Wednesday afternoon and into Thursday. That's going to allow those temperatures to warm up inland, getting back to the upper 80s to low 90s by the end of the week and into the weekend.
Well, the WNBA just experienced a real boost in value. The 13 franchises in the league are now collectively worth $3.5 billion, according to Sportico. And the most valuable franchise is our very own Golden State Valkyries, even though they are the newest franchise in the league. The report says the Valkyries are worth $500 million. The New York Liberty, second at $420 million, and the Indiana Fever with superstar Caitlin Clark came in third at $335 million. Of course, CBS News Bay Area is your home for the Golden State Valkyries. We are airing more than 30 games throughout the season on KPIX and Pix Plus. Tomorrow, the Valkyries taking on the New York Liberty at Chase Center. That game airing on Pix Plus, 44 Cable 12 at 7 o'clock. Well, of course, the Athletics are out of Oakland and playing in Sacramento, and now the franchise is one step closer to its new permanent home in Las Vegas. The A's officially broke ground at the site of their new stadium. Our Amanda Harry spoke with some former fans about how they're feeling with the new stadium becoming a reality.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's something many former Oakland Athletics fans dreamed of. Shovels in the ground, the first step in building a new stadium. But it wasn't happening in Oakland. Monday, it started in Las Vegas.
There's no wrong way for a fan to deal with this. This is like, it's like losing a loved one. There's no wrong way to grieve.
Carl Morin is co-founder of The Last Dive Bar, a group that creates apparel celebrating the Oakland Coliseum, the A's home for 57 years. He was a lifelong A's fan. Morin's father had season tickets before he was even born.
As soon as I even knew what was going on, we were going to A's, Warriors, and Raiders games all the time.
But he's not supporting the A's anymore.
I am not a fan of the team. I don't really care what the team does on the field.
Another now former fan and president of Save Oakland Sports, Christopher Dobbins, echoed his sentiment.
Super upset at the A's leadership for leaving. Also, it's kind of upsetting the city of Oakland didn't really get it together to make it happen.
Dobbins isn't following the team at all, but Morin can't help but watch the progress of the move.
Groundbreakings also happen without the actual thing getting built. I think the German word is Schadenfreude, which is when you are kind of, enjoying someone else's downfall. And there seems to be a lot of hiccups along the way.
He does think it will happen eventually, but he questions the cost and the time frame. A's owner John Fisher says he's heard those questions.
I mean, we've had a lot of, people here in Vegas and elsewhere who are cheering us on as well. And these projects are difficult. It's understandable that people are like, why isn't this open yesterday?
Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo was also at the groundbreaking, supporting the effort.
To me, it's economic drivers. It's jobs.
At this point, Morin hopes it happens because he's tired of seeing his team in limbo.
When there's all these questions that are kind of floating around and unanswered and a lot of uncertainty, it kind of makes it can give you hope. And, in like that movie Shawshank Redemption, like hope can drive a man crazy. And I think that in some ways it's like, just put the nail in the coffin. Let's get this thing over with.
Coming up, it is the biggest digital camera ever built. We're going to take a tour with Stanford scientists as they reveal what it captured in space.
Honestly, it's just mind-blowing. It makes me very, very excited about the future of astrophysics.
The biggest tall ship in the U.S. is coming to San Francisco this week. It is the Coast Guard's BART Eagle, a 295-foot sailing vessel originally built in Germany in 1936, and it is visiting the city for the first time since 2008. You can find it docked at Pier 17 near the Exploratorium tomorrow. And then on Saturday, free public tours of the ship will run through most of the day. No tickets required. It's part of a 14-week West Coast tour. We now have the very first images of the universe from the world's largest digital camera. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory sits on top of a mountain in Chile, but it was built right here in the Bay Area by scientists at the National Accelerator Lab in Menlo Park. Last May, we followed the journey as they took that telescope from the Bay Area to Southern California, where it was loaded on a plane for a 10-hour flight to Santiago. Then 9 trucks drove in a slow convoy to the guarded gate at the base of the observatory. Now our Mary Lee shows us it's captured images of the universe like we've never seen before.
We're heading down to the Rubin control room here at SLAC.
Phil Marshall is passionate about uncovering the secrets to our incredible universe. He's the Deputy Director of Operations at Rubin Observatory. Phil has been waiting for years to see this. The very first images from Rubin Observatory's digital camera, capturing the cosmos in a way unlike anything else.
Well, I think I described it as a dream come true. I've been sort of thinking about this for so long. It's kind of amazing that it's here now. On the other hand, this is just the beginning.
You can trace the nature of gravity, actually, from looking at these stars that are...
These sharper, clearer images of our universe are like nothing we've seen before. Millions of galaxies in each snapshot in amazing detail.
Honestly, it's just mind-blowing. It makes me very, very excited about the future of astrophysics. Previously, we've been able to see a lot of the sky, or we've been able to go deep. And what is really different about these images is that it's both. It really is sort of simultaneously a very wide area, so that you can see many, many galaxies, and you can really, start to study galaxies further away than we ever were able to before.
To be able to see the entire sky at that level of sensitivity, that level of spatial detail, and with that time resolution to see how the universe evolves, that's something that's never existed at this scale before.
Here is a live webcam view of the Rubin telescope and how it's parked pointing up at the moment.
We have a chance to talk to researchers at the Rubin Observatory at the telescope in Chile. This is a live feed. Hello, good to see you.
We have to say that we also saw these images for the first time, even though we are looking at the raw images every single day. And it is amazing.
Every night at Rubin Observatory in Chile, the camera will scan the sky, capturing a new 3,200 megapixel image every 40 seconds, providing near real-time valuable data of our universe.
It really makes it clear that the universe is full of galaxies. Our galaxy is full of stars, our universe is full of galaxies. There's billions of them to be observed, and you can see that in the images now. Each one of those galaxies itself contains billions of stars, and so it's very humbling to see these images. It puts us right in our place, so to speak.
Phil Marshall says these first images are breathtaking and truly awe-inspiring as scientists move one step closer to unlocking the mysteries of our universe.
The Rubin Observatory will continue capturing images of our universe in a 10-year scientific mission. The amount of data gathered in the first year alone will be greater than that collected by all other optical observatories combined. Pretty mind-blowing. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.
Thank you.